what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're going to be playing more of the Power Shift Seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which, at the start of the match, every unit in our deck gets its power set to its provision cost. That means that some cards that would normally have just a little bit of base power are suddenly way more powerful. Today I want to give you a quick look at a new Scoia'Tael deck for this event, because it's one of the only factions that we have not yet tried for Power Shift, and this is a challenging deck to play, but it has a devious combo that with a little bit of mental math, we can use to sabotage our opponent. And before we take a look at the deck, I've been stockpiling a bunch of resources, and after a year of saving, we can now open over 1,000 kegs. And with new kegs coming out this Tuesday for the Price of Power expansion, that is exactly what we're going to do. So check it out on Twitch at twitch.tv/lidsvids on Tuesday for the most keg openings you have ever seen. But now let's take a look at the deck. So today we're going to be playing a Scoia'Tael Guerilla Tactics deck that does a combination of Harmony and Movement. But as the name suggests, the biggest card that we are playing around is Schirru, and his ability will destroy every card on the playing field with the same amount of power as Schirru, including himself. In Standard, he starts with just 3 power, so unless your opponent has a bunch of 3 power units, or you find a way to boost Schirru a lot, it can be a little bit tough to make it worth using him. But in Power Shift, because he'll suddenly start with 9 power, that means that we'll damage our opponents and boost Schirru to try to get as many of our opponent's cards as possible at the same number as Schirru, then activate Schirru's ability and destroy them all. And that's why this deck can be a little tough, because that does take a lot of mental math and anticipating how much boost and damage both you and your opponent will have. But if you're up for the challenge, then this could be a great deck for you. So now I'll flip through the deck to show you what else we have, and of course Sunset Wanderers is a huge unit in this event because it'll start with 13 base power. Then Gezras is a way for us to boost Schirru and potentially damage some of our opponents as well. Saskia is our biggest Harmony unit, and because she has a huge provision cost, is much bigger than usual. Then Isengrim's Council can be a way to get Schirru and get a little bit of boost as well, help line up Schirru's power with the power of some of our opponent's units. Pavko is one of our most consistent sources of damage, making him another good way to set up Schirru, and we can even damage Schirru with Pavko if we want to have Schirru be below 9 power before using his ability. And when we use our leader ability, we can move one of our opponent's units to the rightmost position in a row, setting up Brehen. Then Weeping Willow gives us Harmony and Poison, which we have a little bit of in this deck as well. Treant Boar gives us some more damage to, again, help set up Schirru, and also some movement, which works with some of the other things we're doing in this deck. Percival is, of course, the primary Harmony engine. And Malena is great when combined with the Treant Boar and some of our other movement cards. Dol Blathanna Sentry, of course, one of the key engines for movement. Forest Whisper is another source of poison. Dryad Matron, another source of movement, and another way of potentially boosting Schirru. Dryad Ranger, more Harmony, more poison. Trained Hawk, more Harmony. Catwitcher Mentor, also good for the movement. Dol Blathanna Bomber, some more damage. And finally, the Dwarven Skirmisher, for some more damage, and does give us a dwarf for triggering Harmony. So there's a look at the deck, and it combines Harmony and movement to give us boosting and damage, all while we have Schirru as our ace up our sleeve. When we're playing this deck, we're probably going to want to try to do Harmony in one round and movement in another round. So that is one thing to consider in the mulligan phase when you're choosing which cards you want to have in your hand. So this one's going to be a test of our Gwent critical thinking skills, but I'm ready to take on the challenge. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going against Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. Okay, in between Percival, the Dryad Ranger, and the Weeping Willow, we have some decent Harmony options here. In which case, maybe we save some movement for later. Let's get rid of the Catwitcher Mentor. And let's probably get rid of the Dryad Matron as well. Alright, they're going to go with the Master of Disguise. And, does suggest we should expect some locks incoming soon. Of course, they have their stratagem right here to do that. So normally we would play Percival first because he's our strongest Harmony unit. However, if we're assuming that they're going to lock whichever Harmony unit we play first, maybe we play something else and hope that they don't have any lock remaining when we do play Percival. So let's sneak in a Dryad Ranger first in that case. Now, this is not necessarily the best target for poison, but it is an engine that will get bigger over time, so it's not the worst target. Fortune Teller. Oh, for Veil. Okay, clever. Clever. So now we won't actually be able to remove it, but yes, they do use their stratagem on the Dryad Ranger, as we had hoped they would. So we'll play Percival now, and hope they don't have any more luck, but chances are still pretty decent that they do. We'll see if they're willing to commit it here. Alright, well, it's Snowdrop, so no lock, at least not right now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to play our other Harmony unit, our Weeping Willow. Of course, if we played in the range row, we have the poison, which we can't use to remove the Master Disguise because it now has Veil. But let's play him and hit Snowdrop. And at the very least, this could be just a way to scare them into thinking we're going to remove Snowdrop. We don't have any sources of poison in our hand. However, we could get one with either Isengrim's Council or Royal Decree. So we may actually end up taking out Snowdrop. Alright, there's another Fortune Teller. So much Veil! Stop with the Veil! So no, in that case, we will not remove Snowdrop with poison. In which case, instead, why don't we keep it simple with a Harmony proc here, going with Isengrim's Council into either the Dol Blathanna Bomber or Dwarven Skirmisher. Alright, they're going to use their leader ability here. That'll give them a 7-point more rem. And some card draw, which will boost Snowdrop. And they're going to go with Leo for some removal to get rid of Percival. And that does give them a big lead. But remember, if this round goes long enough, we'll get Sunset Wanderers out there. And that's already going to be the same power, if not more, than Snowdrop. Not to mention, if we do wait long enough, then we could go Royal Decree into Brehen and destroy Snowdrop that way. But either way, it's going to take a little bit of time before we can do either of those things, because Brehen has Adrenaline 3. So let's go through Dryad Matron now. Obviously, this is a movement card, but we're mostly just looking to put up a few more points in the short term. Alright, and they will pass here. But I think that's fine, because, again, Sunset Wanderers is almost enough by itself. In fact, I don't even think we need to use Royal Decree into Brehen here. Let's save that combo instead. Malena should be just enough points, although she obviously is a good movement card as well. But we'll sacrifice her. Move you. And then Sunset Wanderers will come out. And that is enough for us to take the round 1 win here. Then, of course, immediately after playing Malena, we draw into Treant Boar, which is the great combo to go with her. But we also got Gezras, so that's definitely nice. Let's get rid of the Dol Blathanna Bomber, though. And the Forest Whisperer, we don't really have the poison to make this work, so I think we're getting rid of you too. And we did play one more card than our opponent in round 1, so we are looking to dry pass here. They'll start with the Van Morlehem Hunter, and that's, of course, all they'll need. Okay, so we draw into Pavko. That's good to help set up Schirru. We actually have a surprising amount of Harmony remaining here, with the Trained Hawk and Saskia as well. Let's get rid of the Dol Blathanna Bomber, though. And we don't really want or need the poison from the Forest Whisperer at this stage, because like we were saying, we don't have enough for that to be all that useful. Unless we're willing to use Royal Decree to get our Dryad Ranger, although I think we'd like to save that for Brehen instead. Alright, they're going to start with Xavier. So they can banish some cards from our graveyard. Do we have anything that we really need here? I don't think that matters at all. In which case, let's start with Harmony using the Trained Hawk. And normally I'd like to put him in the melee row for the damage. But if we play him in the range row, then he can get boosted later on by Gezras. So I think we do that. And you know, moving Xavier out of the melee row so they can stop doing their banishment might be helpful. Because I don't really know what the reason for that was. But maybe they have some big plan that I just don't see coming at the moment. Alright, Spotter. Could give them a decent-sized boost. Fortunately, they got a small boost, though. So now we could go Saskia here for more harmony, although technically any card that we spawn in with her is going to reduce the amount of harmony that we can get on the Trained Hawk by 1, because we're either getting in an elf before we get the chance to play one of these guys, getting in a dwarf before we get to play the Dwarven Skirmisher, or we're getting in a Dryad before we play the Dryad Matron. And since that's a spawn, not a deploy, it doesn't really help us. So for that reason, might take this opportunity to play the Dol Blathanna Sentry instead. That way we do get that harmony proc, and then we can play Saskia on our next turn and spawn in the elf. Alright, they're going to use Red Haze to get rid of the Dol Blathanna Sentry. That is unfortunate. That was definitely going to be a helpful card once we started getting our movement going. It does technically mean we could re-trigger Harmony for elves by playing Schirru here, although I think we'd like to save that. And also... What? Attic? Excuse me? Where did he come from? So alright, let's not get too clever here. Let's just play Saskia. And let's go with the boost on the dwarf, because the damage from the elf would be a random target, and we don't want to accidentally hit Matic, assuming that they're going to activate Matic's ability here, send him back to the graveyard. That damage is useless in that case. Alright, it's a spotter again, and this time, it's slightly more of a boost. So now let's go with Pavko, because he's worth 2 points per turn, whereas the Dryad Matron's worth just 1. And he will also trigger these harmonies. Alright, and then Glorious Hunt will get rid of Saskia, unfortunately. But now let's play the Dryad Matron. Get that movement finally going. And when it comes to our damage with Pavko, we want to think about what we want to do with Schirru, because they have a couple of 10-point units right now. So if we play Schirru later on, get him boosted by 1 by Gezras, then we could potentially use Schirru to remove both Matic and one of these spotters. However, if we can damage this spotter and get everyone down to 9, we might also be able to remove this spotter as well. That's a little bit hard to anticipate how that's going to line up in the future, so I'd say let's keep it simple and just damage Xavier instead. Especially because we have, at least as of right now, a couple of 9-power units. Alright, they're going to go with all their Wolf School Witchers, which are 7 points apiece. I think that's going to be a little bit too tough, but we could even play Schirru and use Pavko to damage him down to a 7 to remove all these Witchers that they just played. Not necessarily sure that's the right answer, but it is an option. I think now, though, we're looking to play the Treant Boar. And this will give us some more damage. And again, if we can line some people up at the same amount of power to set up Schirru, that would be preferable. But I am still thinking 10 might be the number we're aiming for, in which case, let's not hit Matic or this spotter. Let's continue to hit Xavier instead. Alright, and there goes Matic, but I assume they will have another bomb to get him back, and they do. We'll get rid of the Dryad Matron. And fortunately, the Treant Boar can heal off all that damage that it just took, so that's no big deal. And now we can play Gezras, and this is where things get really complicated, because, of course, we play him in the range row. That means at the end of our turn, we'll damage everyone in their melee row, and drop these guys down to 9s. That would mean that if we activated Schirru, we could remove them immediately, without any setup, but then we'd also lose Pavko. But with some of our leader ability charges, we might be able to fix that, so let's go for it here. And let's damage one of those Wolf School Witchers. Alright, then Yenvo is absolutely going to be a way to get rid of Gezras. In which case, I think we wait here. Now that Gezras is gone, the math becomes a lot easier to do to figure out who will end up getting removed from Schirru. So I think we can bide our time for now, play the Dwarven Skirmisher, deal some damage, and deal some damage with the Treant Boar as well, and deal some damage with Pavko as well. And then maybe even finish with Schirru on our last turn. So then we have time to see what else they play, because we might be able to take that stuff out with Schirru as well. Alright, it's... Oh! Roints. Okay, and, let's see, they have, what, 6 cards in their deck now? So that's not that powerful for boosting themselves. They're more likely going to use that to reduce our power. If we used all of our leader ability charges on this turn to move him, we could drop him down to a 9, play Schirru, and get rid of you, and you. Problem with that is they could potentially bring Matic back if their last card is a bomb. That might be a risk that we need to take here, though, because I'm a little bit concerned about this. So let's play Schirru. We'll actually damage you here. Move you. We gotta be fast here. Move you and activate Schirru. I think we had just enough time. No, we did a little bit too much damage. What? We did too much damage? I miscalculated. Got a little bit rushed there at the end, but maybe between Pavko and our lead ability charges, we did one too many. We must have. See how they'll reduce Pavko's power here. And Geralt will remove our trained hawk. So this is going to be close in that case. So that last turn got a little bit messy, as we probably expected when we were playing Schirru. Let's move the Treant Boar, not that it matters much here. Then we'll play Royal Decree. And with Royal Decree, I think we're looking to get out Brehen. Because with him, we can destroy Eskel there. And that is just enough for us to take the win. So there you see the difficulty, but also the power of using Schirru. So there's a look at a clever Scoia'Tael Schirru deck for the new Power Shift seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. And don't forget, the new Price of Power kegs are coming out this Tuesday, so stay tuned at twitch.tv/lidsvids for a 1,000 keg opening session. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then.